Saw this great little project in the January 25 Fine Woodworking. It was a tote, uh, basically made out of 1/2 inch lumber. I made mine out of natural birch, and I drew it up in SketchUp to figure out the part sizes, etc. Comes apart like this, made out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts. Actually a fairly simple project except for the dovetails, which were my very first, and it just made for a very fun little project, and I'll walk you through it. I had some natural birch, 8/4 by maybe 4, that I ripped, glued up, and ran through my planer to get it down to 1/2 inch thick. The sides of this tote are 1/2 inch, the bottom is 1/2 inch, and everything's 1/2 inch except for the piece the handle was made out of. I cut these out into the shapes that I was able to take out of the magazine. I think you could make this any way you wanted, and actually I didn't make it exactly the same. Here is a finished side with 2 routed mortises in it to accept the side pieces, and the rabbeted and dovetailed side pieces. The bottom piece is what receives the pins. Here I am with this dovetail saw guide that I got, a 7-degree dovetail saw guide. You'll see that this thing, when you cut these 7-degree lines, the farthest out pins on the bottom become the outside edge, and so that those 2 slanted sides of the tote, when you see it here back together again, you'll see what I mean. The 2 slanted sides of the tote are slanted at 7 degrees. They are basically just the outside cut of that far left and far right pin on the bottom piece. Sounds a little confusing, but if you go back to look at the illustration or that exploded view that I gave at the beginning, you'd see how these go together. And so the 7-degree cut ends up dictating the shape of the sides. It ends up dictating the rip that you rip the bottom off of the 2 side slats of this tote, because again, those are at 7 degrees and they're going to slant outwards at 7 degrees. Once you create those 2 sides, you create them with a little tenon sticking out of each end, and then those are accepted in those mortises that I routed in the 2 end pieces. And so here's my little dovetail bottom end before I have cut the sides of the tote. That's the inside edge. The handle is also natural birch, and I shaped that. I put a slight curve in it because that's how they did it. And then I removed a little center section of the wood, and when I did a wrapped handle, it allows that to be kind of recessed into the handle, and it makes for a good look. What I did here is simply I cut a little groove down that handle and used hot glue to start this rope in, and then I wrapped the rope over the tail that I had hot glued. Then, as I got towards the end, I ran a loop of some very strong string under the last few wraps and pulled the end of that wrapping through to tighten it. So here it is at glue up. Just simply glued in those mortise and tenons. For the sides, glued up the dovetailed where the bottom meets the sides, glued that little tenon at the end of the handle where the handle meets the sides, clamped it up, and let it dry. I finished it with 3 coats of shellac, a little bit of paste wax, and it was a quick, fun kind of a project. I don't know if it'll end up in our garden or somewhere in the house, or we'll give it away. Hard to say, but really a fun project, a great way to kind of break into dovetailing, which I had never done before, and didn't do the most perfect job by any means, but it was a quick project. Did it really all out of scrap wood. It's really easy working with 1/2-inch wood. It made the dovetailing a lot easier. It made just everything about this a lot easier. So hope you enjoyed it. Again, you can see it in Fine Woodworking, the January-February 2025 issue.